What's up, everyone? We're back here for another Hornets at home workout in my backyard. So I've just gotten my warm-up done. We're about to get into the exercises. I'll explain all of them, kind of show you the list and everything, and then I'll kind of demonstrate each exercise, showing you some tips and tricks to make it a little harder or a little easier with each one. So the very first one we have is a 5-10-5 shuttle. And you'll notice at the end I have ×4, so that's going to be our sets, but I want you to go 2 each direction. I'll kind of show you what I mean by that here in just a moment. This is kind of our more explosive movement, and so with this we do want to take about 2 minutes of rest in between each and every set, just so we kind of get that recovery, so we get the most out of each and every set. Then we're going to have exercise 2A, which is a single leg hip bridge. We've got 3 by 6 to 8 with that. And then 2B, which is a 5-yard lateral bear crawl. So again, I'll kind of show you how we can mark out our yards with that, our distance, and then if you don't have that much room, I'll also show you kind of how you can do it with limited space. So that's going to be our superset. So you'll go 1 and then the other back to the top for 3 sets of each one. So then we've got 3A, which is going to be a single leg 3-second eccentric pistol squat. So when I say eccentric, I mean just really slow with the movement. Again, I'll kind of demonstrate what we mean by that. And then 3B is going to be our single leg RDL, or single leg Romanian deadlift. We've got 3 by 6 for the pistols and 3 by 6 for the Romanian deadlift. We'll have a 4A, which will be our Hindu push-up, and that'll be 3 by 6 to 8. Again, I'll kind of show you different variations of that to make it easier, harder. And then 4B, which is going to be Blackburn, 3 by 15 with these, and I'll kind of show you that. And then we'll get into our finisher at the end. So we're starting out with our 5-10-5 shuttle. So I kind of showed you how to mark out distances with this. For this exercise, you'll need 10 yards with that. And last time I used dog toys to mark out our space. This time I've got my kettlebells lined up. So I want you to start out by finding your center point with it. So in this case, it's going to be my kettlebell right here. It's got the yellow indicators on it, so kind of makes it easy for you all at home to see. Then I've got, from there, I take big steps, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I get to one end of my marker, and then if I went back to the middle, walked 5 more paces like that, I would have gotten to the other. So about 10 yards with that, give or take. This is one where you want to make sure that you have a nice flat area. Preferably we want to do it in grass. You can do it on concrete. Again, just be really careful with this. This is going to be, again, kind of an explosive movement. And so we just want to be really careful and make sure we're using good technique for that. So with this, you're going to start in the middle. And again, like I said, we've got 4 sets of this, but I want 2 each way. So we're starting out, we're getting down, nice athletic position. I honestly want you to think about, which way you want to go first. So in this case, I'm going to start out going to my left. So I'm going to put my right hand down, so opposite. Then, once I'm ready, I'm taking off, trying to get all the way to that far kettlebell. So in this case, my left side. And then I want to make sure I'm getting a big cut and changing direction, trying to get nice and low, so dipping our shoulders down, trying to angle back, and then we are sprinting all the way back, trying to stay as close as we can to the kettlebell, to the farthest kettlebell, trying to again get a nice big cut, cutting back and finishing through that middle one. So remember, I want you to think about you're almost running to that far kettlebell, not just stopping right at that middle one. So if I needed to go to so that's one set, I would take my 2-minute rest, and then getting back down. So in this time, I'm going to my right. So I'm getting down, taking off, big heavy cut, all the way back to the other side, big cut, trying to get low and finishing through middle kettlebell. So again, we've got 2 going one way, 2 going the other. Then next, we're going to be going to our single leg hip bridge. So I'm going to do this in the grass. If you want, again, you can get a mat. If you're in your living room, down on the floor, whatever you need. So kind of like we do in our warm up, we're finding a spot, getting down. We've got 3 by 6 on each side. So I'm trying to get whichever leg I'm doing first. So in this case, I'm going to have my left leg down, trying to get about 90 degrees at the knee. I want you to think about kind of pushing your shoulder blades into the ground, pushing that low back, driving your core, pushing your belly button towards your low back. So I want you to think of tightening up that core. Whichever other leg you're not using, I want you to think of bending at the knee, pulling that toe towards our knee, get nice and set, driving up, holding for a second, coming back down nice and slow, driving up, going back down. So again, 3 by 6 to 8 on each leg. If you need to, we're trying to get a little bit more of a hold at the top to make it harder. If you still need to make it harder, you can find an elevated surface. So in this case, I'm going with my chair here. So I'll do my right leg this time. So trying to get close to where, again, we're making that 90-degree angle at the knee. Left leg's coming up, pulling that toe in, and then from there, we're driving up, lowering back down nice and slow, up, back down nice and slow. Again, if you need to hold for a little longer at the top, really thinking about squeezing that glute or our butt in that case, trying to squeeze that. Again, if you feel it in your hamstring, we want to move in just a little bit closer, but not too far to where we're all cramped up there. Then we'll be going into our lateral bear crawl. So again, we're looking for about 5 yards each way. I've already got my 5-10-5 set up here. So I'm going from this first kettlebell to my middle kettlebell. So we're trying to start behind the kettlebell. Again, kind of like in our warm up and everything, we're trying to keep hands under shoulders, knees under hips or even just a little behind them, toes digging into the ground. Then I want you to think of turning those hips under just a little bit, activating that core, barely bringing your knees off the ground, and then think about opposite arm, opposite leg. So nice and slow, going over. Try not to let those hips rock. Then I'm going past, just barely past through the line of that other kettlebell, then I'm coming back. If you need to take a second before you head back, that's fine. But again, with this, even though we're moving with our feet, I want you to think about pushing your knee out to the side first. And again, try to go nice and controlled, nice and slow with that. We've got 5 yards down, 5 yards back. Stay facing the same way both times so you'll get each direction. If you're kind of limited on space, what you can do, again, just try to find a couple feet on either side of you, enough to take 1 or 2 steps. So going up, there's a couple steps right there, back the other way, and think about trying to do that at least 3 to 4 times each direction, and then that's about even with that. So that is going to be paired with that single leg bridge. So we've got 3 sets of each of those, kind of bouncing back and forth between them, taking about 30-45 seconds between each one. Again, if you need to kind of rest, going down from the bear crawl, coming back, try not to take as long, but again, if you need to reset yourself, go for it. Then we're getting into our single leg 3-second eccentric pistol squats. So in this instance, I'm going to be using this chair again right here. And so what I mean by the eccentric is going down right here. So with these, I don't care how you get back up. I just want you to go nice and slow on the way down. And 3 seconds is a lot longer than you think it is. So if you need to put a timer on your phone to kind of see, go for it. But we're staying here. I'm going to move to the side for you. I'm going to start on my left leg. So stay nice and tall. I like to put my arms straight out in front, just the thing about keeping my chest up. with whatever leg you don't have down, kind of flexing that straight out in front, toe, pull towards our knee. And then I almost want you to think about you don't know where the chair is behind you and you're trying to search for it. So going down, 1, 2, 3, and then down on it. And then if you need to push back up with 2 feet, go for it. Again, I'm only looking for that eccentric. Now, you'll notice when I'm going, I'm not just letting my chest collapse. I'm trying to almost think of bending everything at the same time. So think about your body like an accordion. So going down, 1, 2, 3, and then coming back up. If you want to make it harder, you can also add in going back up without bringing the other leg down. So what I mean by that, I'm going to do my right leg this time. We'll shake here on this side. So going down, 1, 2, 3, touching, coming back up without bringing that other leg down. If that is still easy, we can add a little weight to this, but again, I don't want you going too heavy on this one. We're only going 6 reps on each leg. So I either have my dumbbell, which I want to get a nice goblet hold on, so elbows driving under, or again, we saw it in my first video, I've got my backpack. I've only got 1 rock in here this time. Getting nice, again, pulling those elbows together, staying nice and tall, kicking 1 leg out, and then down. 1, 2, 3, coming back up. And I don't want you to try to like kick your leg back up. It should be nice and smooth both ways. We're pairing that one with a single leg RDL. So with this, I'm going to go over into a little more of a flat surface. You can do it again in the grass, just try to find a flatter area. But with this is just going to be on 1 leg. So I'm going to go on my left leg first, my right leg's driving back, trying to keep nice and tall through the chest, tightening up that core. I like to kind of pinch my shoulder blades together, locking out that right leg. Think about reaching with our heel, kind of like when we do our bird dogs in our warm-up. Little bend in the left leg, and then think about going down, trying to push our hips back, nice and slow with this, trying to keep that toe on my right leg pointed down towards the ground, then driving through nice and slow. If you can, try not to let the leg that's going down touch. So then we're going back, driving through, and then we'll switch leg. 3 by 6 on that one too. So again, going from the eccentric pistols back to the single leg RDLs, and then back and forth for 3 sets on each of those. Then we'll have our Hindu push-ups, 3 by 6, and Blackburn, 3 by 15. So for the Hindu push-ups, what that is, I'm going to show you kind of the beginner one, and then we'll go into a couple more difficult movements with it. So we're starting out push-up position. Feet can be a little bit wider apart with this. And then from here, I want you to think of, again, trying to tighten up that core, squeezing those glutes together. And then for the simpler one, we're just pushing back, trying to get our head reaching through our arms. So holding for a second, and then coming back to almost that push-up plank position. You'll notice with this, I'm keeping my head just straight ahead, going back, holding, coming back. Now, if you want to make it a little bit harder, what we can do, so we're starting that push-up position again, going back, and then think about almost, there's a wire that you have to get under. And then coming up again from here, you can go back to that push-up position, going back, getting under that wire, looking up, back again. Now, for the third part of this, if you really want to make it hard, then you can reverse that. So, starting in, push-up position, going back, under the wire, we're here, and then trying to reverse, going back to push-up position. And again, 3 by 6 to 8 with that. If you're doing the harder version, probably only going with 6 reps. Then we're going to go into Blackburns. This is kind of similar to our swimmers in our warm-up, but there's just a little addition to it. I don't have my mat out here because apparently I just don't like myself, but try to find a cushiony area to kind of lay down on if you have a mat in the grass, on your carpet, something like that. But I'm just going to show you how to do it from here. So with this, our legs, our lower body is not activating. So we're starting with our hands on our low back. Then from here, I know if you watched any of the warm-up videos, you should know, pulling our shoulder blades back and down, kind of trying to put our shoulder blades in our pocket, pulling those elbows up, keeping my head flat on the ground. And then from there, we're making a big sweeping motion, going into almost a Y. Again, trying to keep those shoulder blades pulled back, putting our hands on our head, again, trying to keep everything engaged. And then you can relax, going back up, driving those elbows or those shoulder blades down, and reversing that motion. So that's one. And then you're trying to go a little more continuous from there. If you do these correctly, you should get a pretty good burn going on in kind of your mid-back, not your traps or your big muscles going up to your neck. So if you're starting to get a burn through here, you really need to focus on pulling those shoulder blades back. I say 3x15 on here, but if you're starting to get that burning through the traps, try to keep the shoulder blades pulled down, and you can do a couple less reps on that one. So we'll have those Hindu push-ups, 3x6 to 8, Blackburns 3x15, bouncing back and forth between those. And then for our finisher, I want you to we're going 1 minute lateral line jumps. And then I want you to think about counting your reps with this, and then you're going to record how many reps you have. Again, if you're doing these correctly, this should be a nice burn, and they'll be a little different than probably what you think. So with that, I'm trying to find just a nice line, something like that, a crack in the sidewalk. I have a nice kind of separation right here. So I'm going to start on my left side, and over and back is 1. So we're going 1 minute, but I really want you to think of our motion, not just coming from our ankles, but from our hips with this one. So we're going to start getting into a rhythm right there, and then we're trying to go 1 minute with that, recording our reps. Even though my feet are pretty close together, I don't want them stuck together. So try to keep them a little farther apart, and again, trying to move our hips back and forth with that one. So it should almost look like, think about if you were going down a mountain with skis and we're going back and forth with that. 1 minute there, record your reps, send it to your coaches. Hope y'all are doing well, and that's all we got for today. See you, everyone.